And so I think being able to take students through the various steps of a solutionary project, now you're flipping that narrative. My name is Rhonda Clements, and I am a teacher at South San Francisco High School. I've been teaching there for 15 years. I am the social science department chair. I run the Earth Club. I teach US history, AP US history, world geography, and health. So I'm a jack of all trades. What really led me to the Institute was really my work outside of the classroom with my environmental club. You can see my little painting here behind. That was done for one of our Dinner in the Dark events. And so it was really my drive to get some of the projects done around the school and maybe trying to find some inspiration and some ways of going about it that I hadn't necessarily tried. And I also wanted to bring more environmental practices into my classroom and see how I could integrate it in the various classes that I teach. And so there were a lot of opportunities. I felt like in giving kids not I felt like so much of the time when we talk about climate change, when we talk about waste, when we talk about environmental issues, we uh, we leave a lot of heavy stuff at the door, at the footsteps of students, and we don't necessarily provide them a pathway. It's like here's all this information, this kind of gloom and doom, and then here you go. Where I felt like now, with bringing more of a solutionary mindset, we're giving you information, and now we're asking you to take that, and we're asking you to come up with some ideas about how you could solve that solution in your part of the world. Well, I think especially right now with the pandemic, I think a lot of people haven't felt agency. And so, especially young people, and they haven't been able to have a lot of control. So I think asking them being able to give them space, being able to give them tools, being able to also even help them understand what the real problems are, because sometimes we don't always recognize uh, the root of the problem. We don't recognize the real issue. We understand the effects of the problem, but when we really start to drill down, we might actually find that the problems are slightly different than what we had originally identified. And so I think being able to take students through the various steps of a solutionary project, now you're flipping that narrative, right? You're now enabling the students to be able to do research. You're asking them to um, navigate their own time, manage that time, uh, manage the scope of how big do you want to make this? What are you willing to do? What are you willing to put into it, to be able to potentially bring your solution to light? Wouldn't it be great if at least once a year or twice a year, that we're able to take one project all the way through implementation and then be able to uh, measure uh, measure the implementation and the results of our efforts? I think that that would be a really exciting goal. I think trying to get students more involved in what's going on in their local neighborhood. And that's something that I would be able to see through changes in the neighborhood, also changes in student activism. We tend to have a pretty active student body when it comes to things like social justice issues. And I think that particularly South San Francisco is the industrial city. And as a result of that, we have some huge disparities within our population and within our neighborhoods. If you go to the east side of town, it's very different than the west side of town. And students were able to really pick up on those sorts of differences. And just, I think, even bringing about that consciousness through something like when we did a trash audit. When we went out and we picked up trash, or we took pictures of it because we didn't want to touch things right now. um, so even being able to have, and then having the kids compare, and then it was like, oh, well, what neighborhood were you focusing on? And where do you live? And oh, isn't it interesting? I didn't have enough bags to pick up trash, and I couldn't find anything to pick up. And so being able to even have the students be able to, well, why is that? Why do those conditions exist? And so I think that pushing students to analyze their local neighborhood and ask questions, ask tough questions. Those are the things that are going to get us to where we need to be able to solve the climate crisis and to be able to be better stewards of our planet. I think, first of all, understand that you're going to be able to, a lot of times when you go to professional development, you don't necessarily walk away and have a mission to implement what you've learned, or you don't have the support. One of the things I found is that the Institute, I had a lot of support from my coach. And so when you're looking at your different professional development opportunities over the summer, if you're wanting something that you're really going to be supported in implementing, and that it's something that you're going to be able to take with you, I think the Institute is just an amazing learning opportunity. I wasn't even really clear when I have to be honest, like I wasn't completely clear, like what exactly are we doing? What exactly do I have to do? So I would recommend that even if people aren't completely clear on like, what am I going to do for my school? Like, what problems do I want to solve? How is this going to fit into my curriculum? That don't get too stuck in that space. Just sort of plow forward and be open to the various ideas and pedagogy that you're going to be, you know, uh, that you're going to be experiencing in the Institute.